Hey guys, and welcome to another Your Tech Report video. Today, it's finally time that we unbox and go hands-on with the iPhone 12 Pro Max and the other end of the spectrum, the iPhone Mini. Thank you for watching this video. If you are not already subscribed to our channel, please hit that subscribe button, and that notification bell is kind of useful as well because it lets you know when we've got a brand new video like this one to share with you. Thank you guys for being here. Lots of people have been asking, why are you not unboxing the iPhone Mini and the iPhone 12 Pro Max? And that is because we've been waiting and spending some time with the Pro Max, but we wanted to give you that whole experience and do the whole unboxing experience to show you what is and isn't in the packaging. I know there's lots of videos out there that explain it, but we'll do our own little flavor of this if we can. So let's start with the iPhone 12 Mini. This is the biggest kind of new phone of this year, and the reason people are talking and all a rave about this phone is because of its actual size. I mean, it is called a Mini after all. We've got the peppermint green here. I don't know if they actually call it peppermint green. They call this green. It's just green. It's just green. The first thing you notice when you open the new packaging for the iPhones is, number one, they're a lot slimmer across the board. I mean, take a look at how slim that packaging is if you compare this to years prior. And that is because of a lack of an actual charging brick. So inside either of these boxes or any of these boxes, you're not going to find a charging brick whatsoever. You're just going to find the phone. Well, let's unbox it, and we'll show you exactly what you're going to find inside. So you've got the iPhone box itself. So you've got all cardboard design over here. You put that to the side. You've got the phone inside. They keep the color side up, but the camera side up, because there's no more plastic on these devices. They're actually using paper to protect the actual screen itself. So if you look at it over here, you can see there's a paper film, which we're going to pull off quite nicely. You don't get that satisfying plastic ripping off package sound. It's more of a static sound that comes off when you take that, protector off the actual device, which is, it kind of sucks as well as the lack of the power brick inside. So iPhone Mini over here, this is again the green color. What you'll notice on the Mini side of things is that the back is this glossy glass, and then the camera bump itself, if you look at the close-up of the camera bump here, that has this kind of matte glass finish. And on the Mini, you've only got two cameras on this device. So we'll get into the camera system a bit later and in other videos as we compare these side by side with other devices. The other thing on the Mini is that the edges, the surrounding that surgical grade stainless steel, is actually brushed. So you're not going to get any fingerprints anywhere on the sides. Whereas when you see the Pro Max, you'll see that it's definitely a fingerprint magnet around the sides. Everything else is kind of in the similar place. You got the sleep wake button on the right side of the device when you're holding it in your hand. It's a little bit larger than previous models. On the other side of the device, you've got your SIM card tray, which has changed sides as well. Volume up and down rocker, and your vibrate and non-vibrate button, your vibration toggle as we call it. So let's put the phone down for a second and take a look inside the box. Going to be similar to what you're going to find in any single iPhone 12 this year. Inside the box we've got our USB-C to Lightning cable, which is very handy. Unfortunately, you need a power brick that supports USB-C if you want to use this in the wall, for example. If you don't have a new generation MacBook or anything with USB-C, you might even need to get an adapter. But they sell those at Amazon. There are plenty. If you look up USB-C to USB-A adapters, you can find many of those, plus charging bricks as well. You don't necessarily have to go to Apple and give them your money for the actual charger, although they do recommend using their charging bricks because you get the maximum charge out of it. And of course, it's calibrated for your iPhones. Inside the box here, we continue. We have our traditional sticker pouch. We've got the SIM card removal tool, warranty and the kind of notifications in multiple languages because this is bought in Canada. There you go, Apple logo sticker right there. We'll put that aside, and then we will look inside the case, and you'll notice no charging block. No charging block whatsoever. Now, the benefit, obviously, of the no charging block is not only do you get the slimmer form factor, but that slimmer form factor means that Apple could ship more devices on a single pallet. I mean, almost double the amount of devices on a single pallet because you get that extra height clearance when they're shipping that stuff overseas. So more devices can ship, and also, less shipments means a less of a carbon imprint on our environment. So it is more environmentally friendly, and I said the lack of plastic protection on the front of the phone helps that as well, and that's why they went with that paper screen protector as well on the front of the device. The one place you will find plastic, though, continued on these devices, is when we move on to the Pro Max. I had taken the plastic off the other one because I wanted to show my kids the phone, but you'll see the plastic still exists on the actual outside of the wrapper here. So let's peel that off over here. That's the sound you want. That's the sound you want. So Pro Max, I mean, the box right away, I mean, you notice right away the box is significantly larger, guys. Here, take a look at this side by side, the boxes, okay? Side by side, the boxes are significantly larger on the Pro Max, but we'll push that to the side and we'll pop open this box over here. Same thing inside. What you will notice on this device is that as opposed to the Mini, which has a glossy back, okay, the Mini has a glossy back and a matte kind of photo bump. On the Max, you've got the matte back, so you're not going to get fingerprints on it, and your photo bump is pretty big, and it is also glossy as well. So I'll take this out of the case for a second and put that aside. Inside the box, same exact thing as the Mini. You're going to get your USB-C to Lightning charging cable, and you've got your little sticker booklet. This is significantly larger than the one that came with the Mini, if you look at this side by side. And inside here, you've got the same stuff. You've got SIM card removal tool. You've got a bigger Apple sticker. Ooh, it's always fun to have Apple stickers. And you've got your, I guess, last-minute notifications and warranty information and stuff like that. Obviously, all that stuff can be found on the Apple website as well. The first thing you'll notice on this device before you even take the paper screen protector off is that the sides, unlike the Mini, they're shiny stainless steel. So if you look at the close-up over here, you can see that it's very shiny, which means the second you touch this, you're getting fingerprints all over it. So I don't know about you, but I always throw a case onto these devices because of the addition of MagSafe, which we'll talk about in a moment. The cases actually are much slimmer this year, and they don't really add much heft to the phone itself. Now, the Pro Max is a pretty big device. I mean, in comparison to previous generation iPhones, even the iPhone 11 Pro Max, it's about the same width because you don't have that rounded edge anymore, but the height is about a good couple millimeters higher, so you'll notice that, especially when you're trying to thumb across the screen and touch various elements of the screen. So let's take the paper protective seal off this here. Again, no satisfying plastic noise. Big screen, man, big screen. The bezels are noticeably slimmer compared to previous models. We're going to turn this one on so you can get a view of the white screen when it goes on. The camera bump is one of the things that I noticed significantly larger. Now, why that, most people think, oh, it doesn't make a difference. You put a case on it and it's going to balance it out. Even with the cases this year, and I've got my working model here, even with the cases, you can see there's still a camera bump. Okay, so you still have that camera bump with the cases that are going on there. So when you put it on a table, and if you want to see if you can kind of rock it back and forth, you get a little unbalancing. It's not flat on a table. Now, it's a hell of a lot worse when you put the phone flat by itself without a case. I mean, a lot more give. And you can see in the close-up over here that there's way more clearance on the table there. So it is a pretty big camera bump because not only is the whole area where the cameras are, protruding from the phone, but the actual cameras themselves protrude as well, plus the glass on top of it. So if you take a look here, and I'll try to kind of tilt it so you can see the angle, it definitely pops out. But you get the 3 cameras on there. You've got your wide, you've got your ultra wide, you got your telephoto, and you got your LiDAR sensor over there as well, plus a flash and a microphone. Lots of goodies on board there, which we're going to go into in a moment as well. Let's take a look at that screen with white on it. So you can see the bezels are really, really slim on this device. Really slim bezels on the phone. And that's across the entire iPhone 12 lineup. If you look at the iPhone mini, the bezels are small as well, which allows them to get a bigger screen in than even the SE onto the iPhone mini. And just look at my hands, okay? I've got decent sized mitts. And when you look at these in my hand, you can see that I'm stretching a bit for the Max, and the mini just fits so beautifully in your hand. If you want to take that, put it in the palm of your hands, try to wrap your fingers around, look how far my fingers go on the mini, and look how far they are apart on the Max. So it is a significantly smaller device when it comes to the mini. I like to compare this to, real world objects. So let's take this mug that I've got here. Okay, we got a coffee mug here, and we're gonna put the mini right against the coffee mug, and you can see that it's just a little bit taller than the coffee mug. And this is a pretty big coffee mug. Then you take the Max, and I mean, look at the size of that. It is a big phone. but you get that extra screen real estate, which gives you way more options in terms of, productivity and using the device. I know a lot of people are quite amazed by the Mini, and they want to use it as their daily driver because it's just so compact. There's so many things that set this year's iPhones apart from previous generations. People compare this a lot to the iPhone 4 because of the fact that it had that stainless steel or aluminum rim around the phone. The difference with the iPhone 4 is the iPhone 4 sandwiched that aluminum rim with the glass. So the glass was exposed on both sides. So if you happen to drop it, it could shatter quite easily. The new thing they introduced this year is not only is, if you look down here, you can see that the actual glass is inside the stainless steel, the surgical grade stainless steel frame. So if you drop it, you're not going to hit the glass, you're going to hit the frame on the ground, which is great for impact resistance. But the other thing that sets this apart is it has a new feature called Ceramic Shield. Ceramic Shield is something they've actually applied to the Gorilla Glass itself to make it a new compound entirely. They're saying this isn't even classified as glass, that is how strong it is, which means that if you do drop it on the ground, the likelihood of you shattering that is going to be 6 times less than if it were just a sheet of glass, which is pretty cool. And that's one thing that really sets this whole lineup of iPhone 12s apart from all the other devices that Apple makes. I talked about the surgical grade stainless steel. You've got that around the entire iPhone 12 if you take a look at this. Really, really cool. Obviously, on the iPhone 12 Pro Max, it is shiny, so you're going to get fingerprints on it. I recommend putting a protector. I recommend putting a case around that right away. As I said on the iPhone Mini, though, you can see that it's this matte finish, so it's actually a little bit nicer in your hands. You don't have to worry about the fingerprints getting stuck on there. Of course, you're going to get fingerprints on the back and the front because they are glossy, but not on the surgical grade stainless steel rim around the phone. 5G is available across the entire iPhone 12 lineup. The difference between 5G on the devices actually only differs by country. In the US, they support millimeter wave 5G, which is actually a different whole band of 5G that works differently, so it requires a different antenna. So you'll notice on the US-bound iPhone 12s, there'll be a little kind of window on the side that almost looks like a window for the wireless charging on the side of the iPad. That window is for the 5G millimeter wave antenna, which is not present on these models because these models are supplied by Apple Canada. IP68 waterproofing, so this means that you can drop this in the water and not worry about it. You can even take it in the water, shallow depth please, and actually use it to take some really good footage, which is pretty cool. Augmented reality gets a complete boost on the Pro lineup of iPhone 12s, and that's thanks to the LiDAR sensor. Right over here on the phone, you can see that LiDAR sensor. This was first introduced in the 2020 edition of the iPad Pro. Now, LiDAR, you have to take advantage of it in the App Store. You have to find apps that actually support LiDAR. But on this lineup of phones, they've actually introduced and are starting to use LiDAR in the camera. So this is going to help things like depth of field when you're taking portrait mode photos. It's going to help, depth of field in absolutely anything you do, whether it's video or photos, because the LiDAR sensor actually senses depth. It can actually tell you how far things are away from you, and it can actually map an entire space. On the accessibility side of things is a new feature called People Detection, available in Magnifier. And if you're wearing an earbud and you're listening to VoiceOver, which is the narration tool in Apple's iPhones and iOS devices that give you vocal indications as to what's going on the iPhone, it can actually tell you about your surroundings, how close you are to someone in this world of social distancing. That's very, very helpful. So it's a very, very cool device, and I really think the potential of LiDAR has an incredible future ahead for it, because imagine the things that LiDAR can do if, for example, it was on a pair of glasses, for example. Under the hood, these have the A14 Bionic processor. This is Apple Silicon. This is something you've been hearing for a long time, or for the past couple weeks anyway, because Apple introduced their latest Macs, the MacBook Air, the MacBook Pro, and the Mac Mini with their own M1 Silicon chip, and that is based on the processor that's in the iOS devices. If that is any indication of the speed and the power of these devices, then this is going to absolutely blow the market away. The things and the benchmarks we were hearing about the new M1 processor on the Macs, we will be talking about it in future videos, but they are in these devices and have been in these devices for a very long time, which is why when people talk about, oh, how much memory does it have? How fast is this? How fast is that? It's really not important at the end of the day, because the performance is what speaks volumes. The camera system really is what sets these two phones apart in terms of the Pro models and the non-Pro models. If you look at these side by side, you can see there's a 2-camera system on the iPhone 12 Mini. There's no LiDAR sensor, whereas on the iPhone Pro Max, the iPhone 12 Pro Max, you see you've got that 3-camera system. You've got the wide, the ultra-wide, and the telephoto there, plus the LiDAR scanner. Everything works in conjunction with each other. The LiDAR scanner only makes the photos and videos that much better. There's new optical image stabilization on board these cameras. So not only do you get a larger sensor, which means better quality photos, but you're going to get more stable photos and more stable video when you use this for video. Night mode portraits are absolutely stunning. You're not going to see that flash go on as often as you used to before, and it's not going to be a longer period of time for you to take night mode photos. If you remember, you had to hold still for about 3 to 4 seconds to get that perfect night mode photo. That happens a lot quicker thanks to the onboard sensors that are on these devices, plus the smarts that go behind this when it comes to the software. There's a lot of artificial intelligence that's going on to make sure your photos look absolutely amazing. And they're taking advantage of new features such as Dolby Vision, which is now available on the Pro lineup of these iPhones, and HDR3. So how sensitive and how good is that optical image stabilization? Well, it is doing up to 5,000 computations per second to make sure that everything is perfectly stable when you're taking those beautiful photos that are fast moving or you're taking those videos. The wide lens has a new 7-element sensor in there, which means that when you're moving and you're taking photos or you're just even taking still photos, you're going to get beautiful sharpness across the entire photo, not just that focal point in the middle. And that's thanks to the brand new sensor on board. And let's not forget the LiDAR. The LiDAR is actually going to help not only in the depth, but it's going to help in the autofocus because it knows what to focus on because it knows your proximity to those subjects. So they're saying up to 6 times better and faster autofocus. There is so much more I can go into. I want to go in depth in video. I want to go in depth in photos, but we're going to do that in another video because I really want to talk about the sensors on board these cameras, these phones. But to answer the question that everybody always asks, should I get this new device? And I always tell people, what do you use your phone for? If you're using this phone for, everyday emails and web browsing and social media, but you're also using this as your primary photo device to capture your moments, your kids, your loved ones, then I would always say upgrade because you're always going to get the latest and greatest technology in the camera. And no one's lugging around a DSLR unless you're a professional photographer, and no one's lugging around a point and shoot. This is now your point and shoot. That's my take on the iPhone 12 Pro Max and the iPhone 12 mini. Very, very cool devices. Thank you to Apple for setting us up with these devices so we could talk about them. We're about to pop our SIM cards in and we're going to go hands-on with a lot of the features that are built in, a lot of software related, a lot of hardware related, especially that camera system. So I look forward to bringing you those in a future video. If you're not already subscribed, thank you. Please hit that subscribe button down below and that notification bell will send you an email and notify you anytime we've got a brand new video like this to share. Happy holidays from everybody at Your Tech Report. Thank you for watching and we'll catch you on the next video.